Welcome to the Bellingham-Whatcom County League of Women Voters interviews of candidates for the Charter Review Commission. The League is a nonpartisan organization. We never support or oppose a party or a candidate. My name is Jan Cottrell, and my guest is Colton Kaltenfeldt, who is running for the Charter Review Commission from District 2. We are asking all the candidates for this office the same 3 questions. Each candidate has 2 minutes to answer each question, and the answers are timed. This video of candidate Kaltenfeldt's responses will remain on our website until after the elections on November 5th, 2024. Candidate Kaltenfeldt, thank you very much for agreeing to this interview and for seeking to serve in public office. Your first question is, and I'm going to get the timer up here. Their first question is, what should voters know about you that differentiates you from the other charter review candidates in your district?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. And again, thanks for inviting me here. I think first and foremost, I have current experience working as a leader of a county advisory body. I know a few folks in this race have been on boards in the past. But I think the work that I'm currently doing right now has given me a really great behind the scenes perspective on some of the issues that are facing our county government, especially as it relates to engagement with our citizen advisory bodies. And I think that experience is really important, right? In a lot of ways, these advisory bodies are some of the direct links that, other than voting, that we have with our county and the sort of work that's being done. I've seen firsthand how some really solid policy with really broad appeal, that would help a lot of people in this community have sort of got gunked up a little bit, not by necessarily any one person and individual, but just as a byproduct of how the system works. And I think that there's some work we can do to sort of streamline some of that. So I think that's a huge perspective. Another thing that I think really differentiates me from a lot of the folks is that I'm by far the youngest candidate in this race. I think, don't want to make an assumption of anyone's thoughts or, identity there. But I think I'm the only Gen Z candidate in this race, period. And I think that gives me an opportunity to really uniquely invite and engage with the younger generation of potential leaders, to really get engaged with this process, and get excited. I think if our presidential race has shown us anything, it's that we need to build confidence and trust with the younger voters and get them roped in as early as possible. And I'm really looking to use that, or to do that rather, with my campaign, to build a platform where we can reach out to younger voters, recruit the next generation, and hopefully bring everyone up with us, because we're going to need everyone we can get here, to sort of face some of the really big issues that are facing our community.
Thank you.
Oh, fun little timer. It's a little tune.
Okay, this is your next question. Polls show Americans are frustrated with polarization in political dialogue. Tell us about an experience in which you worked effectively with someone with a different approach, different values, or different goals.
Right. Yeah, the polls are right. I talked with folks all the time, in our community, and I can feel the frustration there. I think a great example of me having to put that into practice and sort of working with folks is really around the work that I've been working on with the Healthy Children's Fund. I serve on the Child and Family Wellbeing Task Force, which is a county advisory board that's sort of charged with citizen oversight of the Healthy Children's Fund. And there's a lot of different interpretation over the language of the proposition, and sort of what elements, should different people vote, or what elements of it did different people vote for. So naturally, there's a lot of deviation about how people think we should be prioritizing what gets worked on first, and especially how we're using our taxpayer money. As a co-chair of that, I'm sort of right in the middle of a lot of those conversations. It's a contentious issue. I mean, there's something on the ballot right now to repeal it. So I've been having a lot of conversation with folks about that right now. Very recently, I had a conversation with a local elected official who had a perspective on the Healthy Children's Fund that was pretty different from my own. This is someone who's been really critical of the fund, but it was important to me to understand why they were, because it's someone that I really wanted to work with, and at first we were on pretty different sides of the discussion. And I really made it a point to take a step back, get back to what was important with us, and be open and honest, right, about our experiences. Because I think so often our experiences as humans really impact and validate internally our own views on policy issues. And when we get into the heat of the moment, we forget that. So at the end of the day, our agreements ultimately stem from a difference of opinions on the role of government, and we had to agree to disagree, but I invited them into the process to be involved, to ask questions, and to be engaged in our process. And they did. And it's working out, and we've had a much better working relationship because of it.
Thank you. And your last and final question is, what issues would you focus on during the charter review process if elected?
Yeah, from the start, I've made it a point in my campaign. I'm running to make it easier for folks to have their voices heard in county government, and to make it easier for us to hold our government accountable when our voices aren't being heard. That's bedrock to why I'm running. I think if we're talking about building confidence in our system, ranked choice voting is a priority that you're probably going to hear from just about everybody. It's definitely top of mind, and I think if we can get that through in some capacity, that's going to be a huge improvement for our local voting system, and it's really going to help people feel more confident, in our political process, right? You don't have to be a NBC pundit sort of strategically placing your vote with the lesser of two evils, or in the case of our primary that we just had for mayor, 5 or 6 or 7 different votes. And I know a lot of people wish they would have had more flexibility with that vote. So that's first and foremost my top priority. As well, I want to protect our initiative and referendum process so that a small group of people can abuse it by spreading misinformation to roll back progressive policy that makes it easier for us to live in the county. I think that's an important tool for us to use, but we need to make sure that we're safeguarding it from abuse without restricting its ability for us to propose legislation that is going to have an impact on people. As well, I would love to have a conversation about getting a Bill of Rights into the preamble that sort of lays out the responsibilities of the county to its citizens. I think that's going to be a huge tool for advocates, and gives both Democrats and Republicans a really great opportunity to make plain our values. And that's going to be something that's going to guide our entire charter work and make it more productive for everybody involved. And finally, I want to advocate for changes to make it easier for our advisory boards and special districts to get things done, streamline bureaucracy, foster better communication, get people involved. Those are our biggest advocates in the community to citizens. And if we can streamline that communication, it'll make things easier for everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Candidate Kaltenfeldt. I really appreciate it. And once again, thank you for giving the public this insight into your views and values. And for our viewers, please don't forget to vote on November 5th. Ballots sent by mail must be postmarked by that date. Ballots placed in drop boxes must be submitted by 8 p.m. that day. For more information, please see votewa.gov.